All right, welcome to the Browns Film Breakdown. Today we have a great show around Harold Fannin, the film room that we've been looking forward to. I know I've been looking forward to this one quite a bit. It is an exciting pick, 67th overall, Bowling Green product, Canton McKinley, Northeast Ohio guy through and through, who goes to Cleveland, and I think is going to be a pretty fun fit next to David Njoku, and potentially a guy who could take over leading the room. We will see. As we know, an uber productive player at the college level, 600 yards his second year at Bowling Green, and then the breakout 1,500-yard, bananas to even say, season that he had last year. The production, market share, all of that stuff is quite clearly special. So nothing to worry about from that side. It's just what type of athlete is he? How does it fit the NFL level? And what can he do? What can he do? Which is some stuff I want to cover with you. As far as the measurables, 6'3" and a quarter. Usually tight ends are a bit taller. We know that. That's only 23rd percentile, not a deal breaker. The weight 241 is something you tilt your head a little bit about. Obviously only 9th percentile. Usually would like to see them up in the 250s, 260s. Not to say he can't. A reminder, very young, 20 years old here. Wingspan is good enough, strong, 79 and a quarter. Arm length on the shorter side, hand size, shorter side. You do turn your head a little bit at that, but again, not deal breakers for NFL success, but you do need to be strong, overcoming that weight, and you do need to be pretty dang athletic. Now, the 10-yard split, 40-yard dash, between the two of those, really good, right? Checks the boxes. Broad jump, 118, pretty strong. Not elite, but pretty strong. 3-cone, obviously really good, 82nd percentile with a 20-yard shuttle checking in right about average. And then the 22 bench press reps, again, a pretty strong number for a guy his size. So if you're looking for comparisons for comparison's sake, Brock Bowers size-wise, kind of similar there. Bowers, if you look at Bowers' connective tissue, he's about the same height, same weight, but has a little bit longer arms, a little bit bigger hands. Nothing too crazy, but pretty similar there. At the top of this, Cameron Latu came out recently, and then some names, Nick Provo, Keithan Crather. There's some guys here. Garrett Graham came out of Wisconsin, was a nice player. So listen, there's some connective players here. Cade Stover at Ohio State, but not a really popular size, strength, speed combo in terms of a comparison. So I think, at least me personally, that's where this gets kind of interesting with what type of player Fannon's going to be, because he's going to be a little bit unique if he finds the success we think he can find. Let's get to the film, because the film for Fannin is where it gets really fun, even if you consider the competition level. There's so much production here and so many things to like. It's easy to see why the Browns drafted him where they did. So let's get to the film right now. All right, let's discuss Fannin. I think you comb through his junior film and his sophomore year film, and you can find plenty to like back when he was wearing the 44, which maybe he works into with the Browns. But an RPO heavy offense that saw him play inside the slot, play at the wing, play off the inline, and some roles that allowed him to get into space in the intermediate and shallow portions of the field and show what he could do in terms of operating against linebackers or safeties. It all came very naturally to him, and it does come very naturally to him. And he started to really bust out late that sophomore year and turn into a player who could make people miss at the point of attack, who did really well in short area change of direction. And I think this shows up in his junior tape, which is even stronger. But just again, kind of reiterating it with the sophomore breakout, you could see it, his ability to be just an absolute wrecking ball after the catch, which is just something not a lot of guys at tight end are. There's so many of them who are easy to bring down, but he brings a rare combination of avoidance with power that makes him a challenge. As you see a lot of these RPOs and short area throws that work to him, a dynamic player after the catch, which is what he turned into, as we know, as a junior, when he obviously put together a ridiculous amount of yak yards. Here's a good look at some of his blocking work, which I think is underrated. I think he plays with a good foundation and a good base, and I think he's got powerful hands in the blocking phase as well that I think get discredited for some reason, and obviously understands here how to work angles and be in the right position, lateral blocking, which I think stands out as a part of his tape, an effective piece of a run game operation, whether wing or inline, true inline, does a nice job. And I think that there's a narrative that has been built a little bit because of the production that he is not a bona fide pass catcher blocker combo, but I think there's plenty of evidence on tape that he's a nasty finisher at times, and he can definitely get the job done in the blocking phase paired up with what he does, both in the organic run game, but also in the passing game, as you see here, blocking downfield. There are a lot of examples of him getting downfield, springing other players open downfield, making runs that are 15 yards into 40 yards because he's willing to do it. And a good look here at fullback, which is a spot that I think they might stick him at times and let him ISO up a linebacker or let him come downhill and take on a safety in a certain personnel grouping. Like, he can be dynamic in that flexibility. He can pass block a little bit. I think, again, the strength is there. So I like a lot of the blocking. I don't think he's a perfect blocker. I think there are times where the size is a disadvantage for him and it sort of shows itself. But I think he's obviously good enough to get the job done and be an adequate part of both inline and wing or backfield blocking. Now, his senior season here, the domination is all over the tape. I mean, vertical seam-based routes. This is against Penn State, where he put on a clinic. He had 2 early season Power 5 matchups, Penn State, Texas A&M, which I think you guys have probably all seen a little bit of, but I mean, it's all on display. That little outside jab to set up the route to work back inside, and then again running away from people in space at times. But again, he's not a 4-5 tight end, or God forbid a 4-4 tight end, but he can move and he covers ground, and like you see here, he can put a stiff arm into place and he can gain 5 to 10 extra yards on any play where smaller DBs have a tough time getting him down. He's in the slot aligned here, just an RPO slant, which is something the Browns did a little bit of last year. I think they'll keep in wrinkle-wise. But again, 7 yards turns into 15 yards. This is a popular thing on his tape. How tricky. I mean, we talked about this with Quinshon Judkins, how tough he was to bring down. You have a sort of similar tight end version of just an absolute tank. And now we're on to Texas A&M. He is to bring down in space, and when you get him up the seams, he's tricky to cover. A little corner route right here, and again, DBs catch him, cover space, but he's got a lot of running back to his running style in the open field. He understands the stop-start part of all of it. I think he's got a pretty good feel for when DBs and especially linebackers get angles on him and how he needs to proceed based on some of that stuff. I mean, again, there's a little bit of like, he's a wide foot runner. His feet sort of land a little more outward than you would like. So it looks a little strange, almost like he's running flat foot at times, but he's still explosive and he still gets the job done, even if it can look a little bit awkward at moments and maybe not the most aesthetically pleasing athlete. But again, in the slot here, little speed out of the trips bunch variation. You're catching this thing, could be down, right? We're running through DBs. These are Texas A&M DB. This is not MAC-based competition, even we're going to get there, but these are things that he's really good at already and is going to translate. And again, in here in inline, tight end right here, right? Switch to 0 as a junior on the jersey number, so keep your eye on that. But a nice little initial down block, boom, set up that for your backside guard pulling through, and then climb to the next level and block a DB and clear out space, right? So again, just the full bag of stuff was on display in these 2 Power 5 games. He got the opportunity to show out, and I think from that point it catches scouts, catches their eye pretty easily. Again, in split backfield stuff, he can do this. He's comfortable with it. Little screen, get him out into space and make people miss. Turn what should be 3 yards into 13. Popular theme. I think he tracks the football well in the slot right here, right? Back shoulder, take a little contact after the catch. And those are 2 areas I think he handles well. I think he can take contact both in the pre and post catch phase. I think he can, like I said here, little braced type of action, because you have this and another safety closing down on you. You got to be able to catch this in your frame, wear a hit, And then obviously we see the power it takes to get him down to the ground. A little more mat competition. I think we're actually in the bowl game here, maybe. But look at this little nuance to this corner route. Going to sell. And again, just want to be clear with you where we're at on the screen. Watch him sell this. Boom, to the post, and then get back to the corner. Get the DB. That's a corner. Hips, he's turning around. Track the football. Go up and get it. Make a play on it, right? Coming out of backfield again, split back. I think he'll do this with the Browns. Look at that little inside out shimmy. Boom. Get back inside. Boom, boom. I mean, these are things that come pretty organically to him. And then you pair it with how hard he is to bring down. You can see how this is an exciting part of an offense in the pass game. Outside release, get to the sail route, right? Hit your landmark, run under it. Pretty fluid after the catch. Doesn't do a ton of clap catching, so I don't think there's any double catch stuff that I'm really worried about the NFL level. I don't think that's going to be a problem for him. Little jumpy at times when he doesn't need to be, but again, I don't feel like that's going to hinder too much of the product he ultimately puts out there on the field. And he's just a fun gadget player because you catch this football and he's fast enough to make things happen, and he's so hard to bring down. He can get up over top of people, jump over top of people. This is all stuff that he is so early on really good at, and I just am excited to see how Kevin goes about using him in some of this stuff. And again, this inline tight end spot, little look at his blocking over here. This is back to the Texas A&M game. Just want to give you the full idea of what he is in all phases. 11 is a high draft pick, first rounder. It's going to see him in the division, staying on, right? Creating that alley to run through. Again, looking over here, right side. How's he doing as a part of the active run game, right? Can we count on him when he's on the field to be a plus blocker? And there's just so many examples of him being able to do it that it's like, okay, if he's going to be a flexible part of the pass game, clearly, he's a willing blocker. Watch him step in. He can't handle that his guy bounces it outside, but look at that boom reaction on that linebacker stepping down into the hole. He fits that thing up perfectly. It's just again, not his fault that the tackle happens there, but there's just so many good examples of, again, looking at him here on a crackdown block, how he's not a liability. Like sometimes you'll put a tight end on the field and you create a liability in your blocking phase. That's just not something he's doing. He's doing so many things well that the diversity of 12 personnel with him can become such a unique thing to make this scenario hard for defenses to identify what the Browns are going to be doing when he's on the field, right? And there's a good look at a backside block. You know, if we're going to be in line, we got to be able to cut off this backside edge. Quarterback pulls it, right? Be a plus part of the run game. It's just a great job managing his man. And then look here at the Toledo game from this year. Loop block for the quarterback pull. If he pulls it, we're out there. You got to stay on, finish the block. Beautifully done. Look at it from the tight view, finishing. It's all over his tape, man. Here at the high side of the field, up the top hash, outside release, stay on. There's no quit. Playing through the whistle. His man's not making the play. Like, again, there's just so many good examples of this. And then you see some of these things on tape too here, where it's like, oh, we're double teaming a tight end. Like, he became such a weapon. Teams were committing two bodies to him in the passing game all the time. You don't often see two players solely committed to holding him downfield and not letting him run a route, a tight end. So check the box of competition. Hell, you want to hand him the football? Watch this. Hand him the football. You're not getting him down easily. He's not going to fall. He's going to get people off of him. He's going to break tackles. He's going to turn what should have been 1 yard into 7 or 8. He's just a really good football player. And if you know the story, came up where he came up, you know, more defense than offense in high school, but he became a nice player on offense. There's just such an unlocked, and this is just a back shoulder look here. There's so much he's unlocked. He's just getting better every year, and he's still so young. So it's encouraging all the little things that he does well this early in his career. I will say, as we watch this fade ball at the sideline, one thing he needs to get better at, obviously needs to continue to improve blocking, continue to be able to make plays after the catch, and continue to show he can create separation. The issue I have and the fear I have is catching through contact. Now, that's different than catching pre-contact, right? Getting hit before the catch, or catching and then dealing with contact post-catch. I don't think he has a problem there. I don't think he has a problem tracking the football. I think all of those elements are clean. There is some, like, I got to catch it through contact. A DB's running up underneath your chin, or someone's hanging on your hip and they got a hold of your jersey a little bit. He's not the cleanest at these plays. So these catch through contact, this is what, like, hey, where you want to see him get better. Why is he the 67th pick and not the 24th pick? I think some of these contested catches, which at the NFL level are going to happen because you're dealing with better linebackers and you're dealing with better DBs, he's got to finish these types of catches. I think they hinder him a little bit and become a problem for him at times when players are playing with contact up underneath him, which I think will happen more frequently at this level, the NFL level, than it does in the MAC, especially, right? Where he's just a better athlete than most guys on the field. So that is the area I think he has to improve. But I'm telling you guys, there's so much to be excited about with Fannin that you should be excited about. I'm excited to see how they use him. I'm excited to see if the skills translate as cleanly as I think they will. And there's a really good football player here that, if he continues to ascend as a young tight end, is going to be fun to watch. I think it's too early to write off David Njoku as another contract, maybe a year or two or something of that sort. We don't want to go there, but the pairing of these two is so enticing. And then obviously Fannin, I think, being so young, the ability to grow into it, is a player that I think can take over that room eventually if the Browns have to cut the budget. So a lot to like with Harold Fannin. I'm excited. You should be excited. Can't wait to watch him. We'll get to see him in rookie minicamp this week later on, and we will watch as closely as we can. I'm excited to break him down. It's been a while since the Browns have had a young, promising, exciting tight end. It's been, David's been around the league for a while. It was really fun watching his early career and what he could be. So we're going to do that again with Harold Fannin. So that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you being here for these film rooms. We'll continue through, get some more up. I think Dylan Gabriel's next on the list. So look for that coming toward the weekend. Appreciate you guys being here. Have a fantastic day, and go Browns.